Hello everyone! Today I wanted to go over something a little different, as we'll be talking about Space Marine and its soon-to-be-released sequel. Throughout both games, you take on the role of Demetrian Titus, an Ultramarine Space Marine as he fights for the Imperium. However, there is an over 100-year time jump between the two games, and if you've seen the trailer for the sequel, you'll have noticed that a few things have happened in that time period. We're going to have a quick look at what exactly happened to Titus during this time to prepare you to jump into the sequel. However, we first need to briefly go over what happened in the first game. Space Marine is a Warhammer 40k title that was released in 2011, where you take on the role of Demetrian Titus, a captain for the Ultramarines. Along with your battle brothers, Sidonus and Leandros, you have been sent to the planet Graia, which is overrun by orcs, where you have been tasked with securing any remaining Titans. Throughout the game, you assist the Imperial Guard still on the planet, and run into an Inquisitor who has a weapon that can wipe out the orcs for you. You aid the Inquisitor in recovering the power source, and also firing his weapon, but in a turn of events, this ends up opening a portal, summoning demons to the planet instead. The Inquisitor had been a dead puppet all along, and you have been played. Thanks to the Orc warboss the Grimskull, the Ultramarines escape with the power source, and Titus defeats the warboss in a battle shortly after. Using the power source, the Ultramarines supercharge one of the Titans on the planet and manage to close the portal, but there are still demons present on the planet. Titus and his battle brothers now have to fight to secure the power source before Nemeroth, the leader of the demons that were summoned, can use it to ascend into a demon prince. Sidonus is slain while protecting the power source, and Nemeroth escapes to begin his ascension. After fighting his way to the demon with the help of other Space Marines, Titus, thanks to his strange resistance to the powers of the warp, engages and slays the demon, after which he shatters the power source. Having survived the battle, Titus is reunited with the Imperial Guard, but an Inquisitor ship soon arrives. Titus was accused of corruption by Leandros due to his unnatural warp resistance. Titus willingly goes into Inquisitor Thrax's custody, but not before giving Leandros a little talking to.
No room for doubt. You cannot touch the warp and emerge unscathed.
The Codex Astartes is a set of rules. They guide us, shape us as Ultramarines, teach us to hold duty and honor sacred above all. But how we live with those rules is the true test of a Space Marine. And you have failed.
This is where the events of the first game end, but thanks to White Dwarf issue 498, we can continue to follow Titus' story. Just as a quick side note though, another Warhammer 40k title known as Bolt Gun actually continues on from here as well, several years after the events of Space Marine. This game follows Malum Cato as he recovers the shards of the power source, because due to experiments from rogue tech priests using said power source, more warp rifts have opened up and demons spilled through. If you taunt in the game, there's a few lines that reference the events of Space Marine 1.
I will finish the work Captain Titus started. Sidonus laid down his life for this planet. I protect his sacrifice.
Now back to Titus and what happened to him after being taken by the Inquisitor. Titus would spend more than a century being psychically tortured while being investigated by Inquisitor Thrax. And even though no sign of corruption was ever found, they refused to let Titus go. The Ultramarines chapter master, Marnius Calgar, knew about the situation and tried many times to have his captain returned to him, but the Inquisition never released their captive. Inquisitor Thrax was eventually possessed by a demon of the warp and swiftly put to death as a result. Following his death, a large number of Space Marines locked in stasis cells were discovered amongst the Inquisitor's holdings, Titus among them. Titus, along with several other warriors from various chapters, were sent to the Deathwatch fortress, where Titus became a Black Shield. This is a warrior who entirely denounces their original chapter. This was his penance. Since Titus never heard anything from his chapter after being taken by the Inquisitor, he believed that he had brought shame upon the Ultramarines, and that he had been deemed unworthy to bear the chapter's name. And so, Titus, now known as Nullus, served with the Deathwatch, a second chance for him to serve the Imperium and his Emperor. During a mission to reinforce the system from invading Tyranids, his team's gunship was brought down by flying bioforms, forcing the team to engage in battle. Titus's whole squad was killed, and he himself was badly wounded by a Carnifex. Fortunately for Titus, the Ultramarines had arrived with a strike force to relieve the Deathwatch. The Ultramarine Chief Librarian, Varo Tigurius, detected Titus's soul sign as the ship approached, and deployed a Thunderhawk gunship to recover the dead and rescue Titus. His wounds were so severe that to give him a chance of surviving, he had to undergo the procedure to become a Primaris Space Marine. But he survived and awoke back of his Ultramarine brothers. Tigurius investigated Titus's corruption charge personally, but found no taint of corruption. This was communicated to the chapter master, who authorized his immediate reinstatement. The title of captain had been filled in his absence, though, so he was demoted to lieutenant. This last part may sound familiar if you've been watching the Space Marine 2 trailers, because this is where the second game will continue on from.
You're a lieutenant now.
Where he is demoted to lieutenant.
Will that be a problem? No, Captain.
And that is Captain Titus's story so far. I hope you all enjoyed, and to everyone who is jumping into Space Marine 2 when it launches, have fun and slay some bugs. Also, if we get to see Leandros, I've got some words to say to him. Because f*** Leandros. Have a great day, everyone, and I will see you on the next video. Bye-bye!